Hey everyone, I'm Danny and welcome to Wizardry Workshop. In this video, we're going to be making the Monster Potion of Monsters. I have had this idea and I've wanted to do this potion for a long time, but I wanted to do it at the right time and it's October, so this is totally a Halloween DIY. It's basically a potion, but kind of styled like the Monster Book of Monsters, so I called it the Monster Potion of Monsters. If you're new here, I do a whole bunch of Harry Potter DIY projects, so if that's something you're into, consider subscribing. You can find links to all the supplies I use in this DIY in the description box below. Down there, you're also gonna find the free download for the label that I created. Let's get into it. So here are not even all the supplies. This is gonna take a whole bunch of stuff, and you're probably wondering to yourself, why are there fake grapes over here? Don't worry, we'll get to that later. Before we do much else, we should go ahead and prep our bottles that we're gonna use. I highly recommend using something very large like this. This is almost like a vase. And I found this at Goodwill. It already had the big stopper in it, the cork, and all I did was the same type of aging that I did in my previous potions video, which was a collaboration with Darkest Raven Designs. Basically, it's just scratching it up with some sandpaper, and then we kind of splattered some of this onto it, and this is alcohol ink. The color I used for this one is called Caramel, and that just makes it look kind of, just dirty and splattered like you might expect in like a potions classroom or something when people, bubbling cauldrons everywhere. There's just, it's messy. I'm not gonna go into a whole bunch of detail about how I did this other than that. There's a whole video on that, so I'll just link it and you can watch it from there. So with our bottle aged, we also have some of this faux fur. Yeah, this is from Park Lane, I guess. It doesn't really matter. All you need is some faux fur that looks kind of like rabbit fur. This is the right color that we want. And then we are also going to need the label. So there's a bunch of different templates that I'm providing. One of them is blank like this, which is the one I used because I wanted to gold foil my label like this. So there's another file that just has the writing in black. I printed that over the top. If you don't want a gold foil, I also have a file that just looks like this, and where the gold is, it would be black. Or you can print the blank one and age it yourself. We're not gonna do that. I digitally aged this, and this is the one I'm going for. If you wanna know how I did that gold foil on there, again, check out the previous potions video. I go over all of it in detail there. I will just say I did use a Mink gold foil applicator. So what we're gonna do first here is put down some scrap paper because I just don't wanna get paint or any messiness on my cutting mat at the moment. So we'll hold on to this and make sure we know where we want the label to actually stick. And then the label itself, I just cut it out with scissors. I usually use an X-Acto knife, but it doesn't really have to be perfect because we're gonna burn these edges to make it look cool. We're just gonna, literally burn and then blow it out. So that's all you're doing, just burning a little bit of that edge to give it a kind of aged look. And sometimes it will kind of singe and I don't know, it's not simmer, but you know what I mean. It kind of singes in, the fire doesn't stop when you blow it out. So you just want to make sure that you do it right. There we go, put it out. If you got to use your fingers, you can. It doesn't hurt. I guess if you're very sensitive it will, but it doesn't hurt my fingers. And I like the idea of burning the edges like that because then you get yourself a unique shape. None of them are gonna look exactly the same because the fire is just kind of random, you know what I mean? With our label done, we're also gonna set this aside because we're not quite ready for that yet. I want to make sure that I leave a space on my bottle where this potion is gonna go. So I want it to go just right there in the middle. So we are just gonna cut parts of this fur off and make ourselves a little fur pile like this. And the fur is getting everywhere. So keep that in mind. It will happen. It's like floating. It's floating everywhere. Might be best to do this with a window open. You guys are going to hear a little bit of a background hum, but I need to open my door because there's no window in here and I've got fur all over the place. We are going to place our label on here, but don't glue it on just yet. We're not ready for that. Now we're going to put Mod Podge all around the label, but not on the label. So we're just going to be sort of tracing it, but you want enough so that the fur really sticks to it. So right there, we've got a portion of it done, and now we can just put the fur on it like this, and we're just gluing it on. We want this thing to look like a creature, basically. If it starts to look like it has mange, that's actually probably a good thing because it'll look even more like a monster. Just to give it a little more character, I guess, you can just sort of like put like some little like random spots, I guess, and then just use up the rest of what fur is left on those random spots. And we will be wiping this away so it's not going to be quite so thick all the way around because we want to see what's inside the bottle as well. Now, I am going to let that dry, and I'm also going to vacuum all of this up right now. All right, so we have waited a while. This feels dry and it looks really hairy. So let's go ahead and vacuum some of this off. Okay, so I just realized this bottom part is still not dry. It's been setting for an hour, so I may have put just a little bit too much glue down there. I can let that bottom part dry as we continue. So now at this point, I think I can safely use my heat gun, or you could use like a blow dryer or something to dry the rest of this off. And now we can put the label right here on our bottle. And that's just a matter of getting some scrap paper and some more of this Mod Podge. There we go. We'll just put this on here. And then we'll place the label right in that empty designated spot right here. There, now it doesn't look so weird with that empty spot. And here we have our kind of furry, mangy monster potion. It does look a little mangier than I expected, but hey, it works. The next thing I want to do is take these eyes right here, and these are like yellow sort of cat eye looking things, perfect for the Monster Book of Monsters. I'm going to use it on the Monster Potion, so we need 4 of these fake eyes. We don't want this little screw end on it. We want it to be pretty much flat. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we want to cut that off. What you want to do is get some needle nose pliers and pinch almost up to the very top of the part you want to cut off. And then you probably want to have some type of container around it because the eye will kind of fly off if you don't. I have this hand saw, this very fine hand saw right here, very small, easy to use. You don't have to apply much pressure, just saw it off basically. And it'll go pretty quick. There we go. Now we want to take our Monster Potion, and what we want are eyes on it to make it look a little more like the Monster Book of Monsters. So these yellow kind of cat-like eyes are going to be perfect, and we're just going to put all 4 of them right along the top. Something like that, but try and keep them straight so it doesn't look weird. Mod Podge probably will not work for this, so I am going to use my hot glue gun. You are going to want to put some scrap paper under your glue if you don't want to get it on the table. And what I love to use for that are these like pieces from like labels or sticker paper, because one side is kind of shiny and the hot glue doesn't actually stick to it. So when you're done, you can just scrape it off and use it again. It's just you use it over and over again. So I always save these for stuff like that. You just have to have a pretty good idea about where you want the eyes. I'm just going to like lay them on here in about the position that I want them. I always like to have an extra stick of hot glue off to the side, just in case. And now we can get to the actual gluing part. What I'm going to do is put a little glob, like a pea-sized, maybe a little smaller, glob on the back of the eye, and then place it where I want it. And you do have like a little bit of time to sort of reposition them a little bit, like turn them if they look a little weird. There he is. Looks kind of like a spider, doesn't it? We're not done with our hot glue just yet. We need paper clips and red ribbon. We're going to give this guy a tongue. And the paper clip is to give it a bit of a shape, so it's not just kind of like, you want it to sort of come out like kind of a wavy tongue, almost like the howler, Ron's howler. So I've just flattened out or unbent my paper clip, kind of bend it so it's like a U shape. I'm going to make sure that these parts are kind of bent a little, like less rounded, I guess is what I'm going for. Sorry, words. There we go. Okay, so now here's what we have. Just like that, and it should be about a little less wide as the ribbon. We're going to put some hot glue in it around like this. I hope this works. Kind of like in the shape of that paper clip. And then we are going to hot glue the paper clip in there like this. And then we're going to put more hot glue on top and the middle. Like not just on top of the paper clip, but we're also putting it in the middle. And then we fold it over on itself, just like that. While the glue is still a little bit wet, I guess, we need to shape this. So you can kind of follow what I'm doing or make your own shape. It's not a big deal. You just need to make sure you have a little bit like that bent in the back. That's how we're going to attach it to the bottle. Once you're kind of happy with the shape of the tongue, you can kind of hold it up against the bottle just to see how it might look. And then we can cut it into sort of a forked tongue shape. Cut both sides in toward the center and give it that shape right there. And this part is also going to require some hot glue. I'm going to put it right here on the tongue, right across that back piece, right across the back piece. And then we can place it around the bottom of the label, right about here. And we have a little tongue to go along with our eyes. The next logical step here is to basically mix what we're going to put inside of this. And I don't want to do the swirly stuff because, for one, if you're shaking this up, you might be getting those fibers everywhere, but also the pieces that you've glued on here might over time kind of get loose, and then you're shaking it up and an eyeball flies off, and nobody wants that. So I am going to use some glue, and this is actually just some washable, just clear glue, like school glue basically. I am going to try and get the color right. I want it to be like a bright green if I can get it that way. So let's pour a bunch of this glue into this container here. And then we have food coloring, and this is green. This is like neon green food coloring. So I have high hopes for this. I hope it does something cool. And we're just gonna gently mix it in. Basically, you don't want to just be rough or like, you don't want to whisk it or anything like that. You just want to gently mix it in, because if you start whisking it, your glue is gonna get bubbly and it's not gonna look as good. This is actually looking pretty much exactly as I wanted it to. I'm gonna do like one more drop of food coloring just to give it a little bit more green if I can, but this is like perfect. It looks like slime. And always have a rag handy. And now, the moment everybody's been waiting for. This is where the fake grapes come in. They are just these plastic grapes, and they very easily just kind of pop off of this. So we want to just grab a handful of these, really. The next thing that I'm going to do, I got these little black beads, very small beads, and I was thinking maybe like 1, 2, or 3 of these could just go inside of this, just to make it look like there's something in there. I don't know how well we're going to be able to see those. Unfortunately, you can't really see those beads through here, especially when it's in the liquid. I don't think we're going to be able to see that. So I think I'm just going to like toss some of those black beads in here instead. But it's supposed to just look like maybe eggs or eyeballs or, you know, something. That's why I did the grapes. Now we can do some of these black beads. Darn it. That actually looks kind of appetizing. Oh, I know what it looks like. It looks like a kiwi. Because of the black, it makes it look like kiwi seeds almost. How can we make this look a little more disgusting? Luckily, I have my bag of moss. This was from my previous potions DIY. Okay, I don't want to do too much. I don't want to overdo it. So let's see if that makes it look any less appetizing. It looks kind of like hair in there. Oh God, it's just like one big glob in the middle. I hope I can, oh yuck. Oh, it's like a little creature. Okay, I'm keeping that. It looks like a furry, red furry ball in there or something. Now we want to pour the mixture in. Oh God. Okay, very carefully pour it in. Do it with this side away from the front, kind of like I'm doing right here. As you can see, the front is facing that way, and I am pouring the liquid in here. And I don't think I'm going to do any more of those black beads. I think that's enough. Now we know that this is the right color that I'm looking for. We know that it can mix to the right color, so I'm just going to go ahead and fill this up the rest of the way with glue. And then we can put a few more drops of this food coloring in there. We're probably going to need more, but then we can just mix it straight inside this. And that'll get all the little things we put in there to sort of mix up as well. There it is. And you can see it's pretty goopy. I'm a little upset that all the grapes floated to the top. I was hoping they'd be kind of like throughout it, but I think they just got too much air in them. We need to lid this, basically cork this. And for this, we will use some more Mod Podge. I'm gonna just put Mod Podge all around the inside of the cork, like the edges basically, not on the bottom, you don't have to do that. But I want this to seal up so that the glue doesn't dry out. I'm not going to be handling it, so I don't really think it's going to spill. I just don't want the glue to dry out. There we go. And then we will seal it also with some Mod Podge, just to keep any air from getting in if we can. Now we want to wait maybe another half hour to an hour for that to dry a bit before we go on to the next step. So now it has been a little over a half hour. It's not totally dry. You can see that there is white still behind the glass in there, but the top and the sides are pretty close enough for us to go ahead and continue with this potion. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to wrap it with twine. So here we go. We get a big length of twine. But before we actually start putting this on the potion bottle, I also have some other little things that I want to use. So we've got some little beads. I just had these metal beads left over and I thought they might look kind of cool on this potion. And then I've got these chains with latches or clamps, I guess, on top. I don't know what these would be called. Some type of clips with chains on them. I've used them before. I will link them in the description box. I've also got a little bit of chain, just some jewelry chain. So we're going to kind of use all this to make this look a little more, I don't know, monstery or fancy, I guess. So we're going to start with a loop. So just get one end of your jute cord or twine or hemp and then make a loop about, I don't know, this long. It depends on the size of your bottle, really. Make it so that the loop comes up above the cork here, starting about where we want the cord to get down to. So I'm going to start here. You can start wrapping it around. And since this is such a big bottle, I kind of feel like turning the bottle might be easier. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to just turn the bottle as I wrap this cord around it. We've got that kind of started. I probably should have done this beforehand, so there's that. But let's go ahead and get all of these beads onto this cord. I'm going to get all these things closer to where I'm actually doing my work. And there we go. And then every once in a while, you can just grab one of those and pull it around so that it's right there, somewhere visible. And then we'll just keep going. Kind of get those like layers of your cord closer together as you do this, and you'll be able to start tightening it up too. So yeah, do that. All right, we'll get another bead. And then we just keep doing this, basically, all the way up until we get closer to the cork. And what do, you may ask, if you run out of cord like I have? Take this end and this end of the new cord. I'm just going to do a knot. Get the knot as small as I can possibly get it. I'll trim these down. And then hopefully we can sort of hide that knot as we go. All right, now we are, as you can see, very close to the top where the cork is. So at this point, this is when I'm going to add this little chain thing. I did have 3 of them. I think I'm just going to go with one. I think it'll look better this way. So you'll want to thread this on if it's not on your cord already. And I want this to go somewhere where there's kind of some empty space between these beads and stuff, so that it's kind of on its own there. And then just continue wrapping. Now, when you get to a point where you are ready to stop, so I've gotten to my stopping point, we can now cut the cord beyond that loop, and then we're going to take it and put this through the loop, like that. And then the cord that is coming out the bottom, you can pull on that, and as you can see, it's making the loop tighten up right there. And you just do it until it's kind of behind the rest of the twine. Now you can trim those cords down a little bit more, like maybe a little less than 1 inch on each side. Now if you can get like a paper clip or something thin down behind some of that, behind some of that twine, I'm going to tuck it in behind, and then I can grab, or get it a little closer, and then grab that end of the twine here, and then just pull it down, and now we have a loop over that twine, and we can pull it through there. So we've just kind of tucked it behind some of that, and then we can trim it even closer. And now it basically disappears. And the bottom part, that's going to be actually a bit easier just to tuck underneath. There we go. And there it will stay. Something I learned from Cooking and Craft Chick, if you use this kind of jute cord or twine or hemp, you can take a lighter and sort of burn away some of the extra stuff. You can see it's kind of, I don't know how well you can see it, but it is kind of burning away like that extra fluff or fuzz, I guess you could call it. So thank you, Cooking and Craft Chick, for that tip, because I think that makes it look just kind of cooler. It's just a subtle touch, but it looks good. As I said, we also have some of this chain, and this is jewelry chain. And what I'm planning with this is I'm going to start with one of the higher up things, one of the beads. You can make this easier on yourself if you take a paper clip, unbend it except for like a little hook at the back here, like this, and then you hook the chain with it, like that very last link on the chain. You can hook right there, and then squeeze it tight with your pliers. And now you can sort of thread this through. See the beads? We're threading the chain through the beads. And you just go to like random ones. Now, can we go through one a second time? Because that's really what I was wanting to do is, oh, will it fit? The paper clip, oh, it does fit. Okay, great. So now I've gone back through one of the ones that I've already been through, and this is going to let the chains sort of overlap each other. You don't want it to be super tight. Just a little loose chain around here is going to make it look just a little bit cooler. This is about where I am wanting to end it. So right here, this is the first one that we did. We're going to take our hot glue gun, if it's hot enough. Looks like it is. And we're going to put a little bit of hot glue on the inside of that bead, just to hold the chain there. And then we can clip the chain off as close to that bead as you can get. And then if the glue's still a little bit wet, you might be able to hide the chain inside like that. And then this side, we can cut where we want it to be cut. And then that same bead that we started, we're going to put another little bit of hot glue there. Might be easier if we kind of hold on to it with pliers. And we glue it right there. So that's kind of what we're going for here, just some random chains hanging around. Now, like I said, this potion is just for display. It's not really meant to be handled very much. It's not designed to be handled much, because that hot glue on those chains that we just did, if you handle it too much, those chains are going to come loose and you're going to have to re-glue it, and it'll be annoying. Now, when it comes to this little chain that we put on there that's just hanging off with that clip on the end, you can put whatever you want on there, some kind of charm. I'm going to do this tiny little skull. So it kind of just opens up like that. You can put your charm on it, and then it closes right back up. It's pretty easy. So there we go. The last touch we're going to do with this is a wax seal, just a red wax seal right on top. And I'll be using this pentagram or pentacle, whatever you want to call it. This is from the Supernatural TV show, but it's a really cool magical symbol, and I love using it for these wax seals on potion bottles. And we just want to melt like a pretty good sized circle of wax on top of this bottle. And obviously this is not to seal the top. We're not going to cover the whole top with it. It's just a cool little stamp to have on there for decoration. Now we can just take the stamp, stamp it down, just give it a couple of seconds to cool, and then remove it. And there it is. That is it, guys. I think this potion turned out looking just really cool. I like the seal on top. Yeah, I think it just turned out really good. I love the color and like how it looks kind of dirty or like blood veins inside there too. I love how that turned out. I'm disappointed that all the fake grapes just float at the top. I was hoping they'd be like throughout it, like eyeballs and eggs or something. But, you know, I think it still turned out really cool. So that is the Monster Potion of Monsters. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. I'm happy with it, and I'm definitely gonna keep doing potion DIYs here and there because this was so much fun. It's time consuming, but it's so fun, and the end reward is just, it looks great. As I mentioned in my last video where I opened up these wands, if you didn't see that video, I opened up 3 of these mystery wands. These are the Death Eater series, and the 4th one that I have here is a giveaway. The winner of this Harry Potter mystery wand is Brandon Sparks. Congratulations, I've sent you an email with instructions on how you can claim the prize. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.